Hello and welcome back to the Apex Gaming Invitational Qualifier here in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Tandy.
And I'm Ross Merriam.
And we're bringing you all the action here as we crown not just one champion. This is really a two-champion style event. First and second place have different cash money on the line, but the real prize, the qualification for the Invitational here in a few months, as well as the Regional Championship in Anaheim, are on the line, and both first and second get that main prize.
But we're still going to have them play it out. We need to. Tournaments need
They
to
can just rock, paper, scissors, and we can go to dinner.
No, they certainly cannot.
My bad. Just kidding. Don't do that. So we are going into round 5 right now. We have, I believe, 4 people who are undefeated with 4-0, and then one person who's 3-0-1 with a pair down. So we're going to be bringing you 3 of those 4 matches, and we see who's going to be 5-0 and who can double draw into top 8.
Yeah, we've got 78 players today, so 5-0 should be safe to double draw. And we should get 2 5-0s at the end of this round, barring an unintentional draw.
Yep.
Our 4-0 bracket are all players that we've seen at least a little bit of before in the tournament. We got TJ Radizak on Titan. Mm-hmm. We saw him beat, is it Murktide earlier today? Mm-hmm. We got Nick Cowden on 4-color Omnath, who we saw defeat Hammer at the end of last round. We have Matthew McAllister on Jund. We saw the tail end of one of his matches earlier. And then Damien Huck on 5-color Creativity. We saw him win the Creativity Mirror last round to get to this position. And we're going to be starting with Matthew McAllister against Nick Cowden. That is 4-color Elementals against Jund.
Now, what makes it different from the normal 4-color deck? Because you say Elementals, and I'm thinking Solitude, Fury. But what's the game changer?
Yeah, when we say Elementals, it really implies that they're also playing Risen Reef, a card that very much helps out those pitch Elementals because you recoup your card back with the Risen Reef trigger. So we're not seeing counterspells in the Elementals list. They're more play to the battlefield, generate card advantage.
Notably, also get to play Cavernous Souls, which is quite good against other counterspell decks. So.
Yeah, not going to be relevant against Jund, but Risen Reef is excellent against Jund. This version of the deck, I think, is probably the best against Jund. You just want more card advantage. Your counterspells aren't that great. And this is going to be a tough one, I think, for McAllister. I would definitely prefer to be on the Elementals Omnath side of things here.
Well, they have probably played against 4-color Omnath decks all over the place with their Jund deck. I'm sure that it's on their radar. So we'll see if the plan that he has lined up is able to take it down. But I believe our players are already over in the feature match area, so we're going to go ahead and head down there and get that started. Who are you rooting for, honestly? Risen Reef or Jund?
I don't know which player is which, but whoever has that giant beard, I'm rooting for that guy.
Okay. Cool. I'm into it. So we got Cowden on your right with 4-color Elementals, McAllister on your left with Jund. Cowden's going to be on the play, leads off with Abundant Growth. A decent start.
Yeah, important for the Elemental side to set up their Yorion for the late game, so getting Abundant Growth down, very nice, also going to help his mana.
As a Jund player, how demoralizing do you think it is your opponent plays turn 1 Abundant Growth? Do you think, like, this is going to be a long one, I'm going to lose?
Oh, you know, if you're a Jund player, you're used to playing long, grindy games of Magic.
Oh, that's true. And they're probably, like, all you ever want to do, right?
Yeah.
Just play Magic forever.
So McAllister knows he's going to be in his element in this match.
Whereas Nick will be in his Elementals. We got a Thoughtseize here from McAllister. Takes a look at a hand. We got Solitude, Prismatic Ending, Omnath, Risen Reef, Beseiju, and Wooded Foothills. Gonna take Omnath. That card generates 1 when you play it, and it also does so much more. Very scary stuff.
Definitely like that take here. You know the games are going to be long, and you know that card advantage is paramount. So just take the most powerful card at generating card advantage, and that is going to be the Omnath.
All right, here comes Risen Reef. We'll see if we can hit a land or just a fresh card off of it. Not a land, goes to hand. Gonna send it back McAllister's way. Let's see the response to the Risen Reef.
Howden playing face up with the cards that were revealed from the Thoughtseize. A little sporting.
All right, Renin 6 going to minus on the Risen Reef and take it out. And a passage of the turn.
Now there's a Prismatic Ending to answer that Renin 6 here. And no fetch land presented from McAllister. So maybe Cowden wants to play this one with a threat potentially to attack it down and save the Prismatic Ending for later.
That's a quick main phase fetch here. 4 mana for Cowden. That represents a top decked Omnath or something similar. Let's see what it is. Could just be Prismatic Ending plus a 2-drop. Ooh, big boy.
Thoughtseize bug.
All right, Omnath draws a card, threatening to do some serious damage next turn. Let's see if McAllister has an answer for it. Gets on tap with Red and 6. That's a pretty big deal.
Like I said, has yet to present a fetch land and doesn't have one this turn, just that basic swamp.
All right, reveals. Lightning Bolt, Solitude number 2. Go along with the Solitude in hand, Prismatic Ending, and Beseiju. Prismatic Ending is to take. Let's see if we can keep the Red and 6 alive.
Yeah, I was hoping for a Liliana here.
Liliana comes down to minuses. Red's going to tick up with no targets, and we're passing back to Cowden's way. Multiple ways to answer a Planeswalker in hand with a Bolt. Got rid of the Prismatic Ending, though, so can't deal with both.
But I gotta wonder if Cowden would prefer to just play a Solitude this turn.
Yeah, perhaps holding it up, get a flash threat down, means that McAllister basically can't play a creature this turn.
Yeah, now Cowden picks up the cards, doesn't want his opponent to know exactly what he's discarding. Oh, and then reveals. Smart for McAllister, just start by using the Liliana, pitch a land, so I can use my Red and 6 to good effect. Wow. And Seasoned Pyromancer, a great response to Solitude, but no spells discarded.
Yeah, so doesn't get to put up a blocker, but did find, I believe, a Lightning Bolt. So it's going to be able to take out the Solitude after it eats the Seasoned Pyromancer.
Yeah, and for as much as I think the matchup favors Elementals, this setup right now is definitely favoring Jund. He's the one with the Planeswalkers down, generating incremental advantage. He's gotten value out of Seasoned Pyromancer, somehow getting value out of the Wrenn even without a fetch land because of Lily and Pyromancer.
Yeah.
So using his cards to their full effect. And Cowden getting a little punished for not firing off that Prismatic Ending when he could. I think I would have gone the same route myself, but certainly getting punished.
I mean, he also randomly discarded Lightning Bolt instead of Beseiju. I don't love that because now it means you just like can't kill one of the Planeswalkers.
Yeah, kind of banking on that Solitude doing work, and McAllister had the answer.
Beseiju just doesn't have very many good targets in this matchup. I have a feeling that was just a blunder.
I think we'll see the Beseiju get discarded this time. Yep.
All right, tick up on the Beseiju. Another Bolt in hand. Wow.
So no threats for McAllister here to start applying pressure, but has the answers to keep these Planeswalkers around. And so it's going to be...
what a peel.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so we're going to probably empty our hand as well so we don't get hit with discard, but this Fury...
Oh, yeah, we have 2... I was like, does that cast Fury? But we have 2 Bunnegrows.
All right, so Ren and 6 down to 3. Liliana down permanently. Let's see if McAllister has an answer for the Fury. Go back his way. Finds a Kolaghan's Command. That combined with the Ren and 6 should be an answer and can get back Seasoned Pyromancer. Oh, no, it got exiled.
Yeah, Pyromancer's exiled, but...
Can make him discard that last card. Oh, it was played.
Yeah, so it's not a great Kolaghan's Command. That chooses to rebuy a land, so gotta have something else. Sure.
Huh. I might have still done it. After draw, you discard deal 2?
I guess deciding he'd rather have the card off the top of Cowden's library.
In the Ren and 6? Well, that was a good one.
It's just dealing 2 to the Fury, but doesn't have anything to follow that up. As well have gone upstairs.
Yeah. Perhaps just a minor misstep. It's okay. Another Lightning Bolt drawn, though, but that's going to clear out all the pressure from Cowden.
Late, yeah.
Also, folks at home, make sure you main phase your stuff when the shields are down, because a top deck Ephemerate there could have been backbreaking.
Yeah. No reason to wait. And now we got ourselves a top deck war.
Yeah, but the 4-color Elementals deck top decks very well. So many cards replace themselves, generate many 2-for-1s, and here's one. Ren and 6 off the top. If there's a cycling land or something in the graveyard, we could generate some real card advantage. Otherwise, we're just going to hit some land drops. Going to get back Beseiju, though, as a safety valve.
Had another Beseiju in hand, though, so that's interesting. Not sure what is in McAllister's hand, but yeah, the Fury turned this game around in a hurry.
Cowden's way. Draws Island. Going to tick up the Ren, get back a random land. Pick one out of a hat. None of them do anything. Does kind of insulate you from a future Liliana the Veil. We're also pushing towards Ultimate, so McAllister definitely needs to find an answer here.
Yeah.
Handful of air. Creature removal, maybe. Can't tell what everything is. Passes back, 5 cards in hand. Can't be good.
Another land from Cowden, also not good, but Ren keeps marching towards Ultimate.
Yep. In turn, this is a main
Okay.
deck Terra Sunder?
Yeah.
That's hot. Love it. Exile target permanent for 4 mana. Exile an artifact or enchantment for 2 mana. Basically a split card.
And Cowden declines to play a land.
Well, I think Cowden was expecting to be able to rent Ultimate and wanted enough lands to bolt out. And probably doesn't need much more than 8 mana or whatever.
Okay. Well, Tarmogoyf off the top meets Prismatic Ending off the top.
Yeah, both players still in the top deck war.
Cowden's still declining to play lands.
Again, maybe just protecting themselves. What do you actually need the extra 10 mana for or whatever, right? Like your Emrakul's already gone. Like that's normally what you're pushing toward.
I mean, he's only got 7 lands. That's not a ton.
That's true. I don't know what to tell you. He's holding 6 lands.
There's a Yorion, right? There's a Yorion somewhere.
Oh yeah. Maybe he just doesn't want to get thought seized. But I feel like just 8
Could've just
mana.
played 8 lands.
Yeah. You know, this happens to me sometimes where I just kind of forget my companion sometimes. Maybe that's what we're seeing here.
That's a Teferi. That's good. That can bounce one of our abundant growths and just draw 2 cards.
Yep. Love it. And Omnath. Wow.
Yeah. I wonder if Cowden just forgot. Well, because we don't see the Yorion anywhere. Normally that's like off to the side in the exile zone. Maybe he forgot to reveal it pre-game.
Perhaps forgot to reveal it. Maybe even caught it at some point, but since he didn't reveal it, can't go get it. You know?
Either way, the Yorion does not seem to be coming anytime soon, nor does it seem to be relevant.
All right, Omnath is the pickup off the Teferi. We're going to play the Omnath with a fetch land available. That's going to allow us to get a tapped land to generate 4 mana. And we can at least play an Abundant Growth off of the green.
A red card in McAllister's hand? Maybe that's a Fury?
Maybe. That's a good answer here to Omnath, but Sorcerer Speed doesn't come down till next turn. Cowden going to draw off the Abundant Growth a handful of lands and have to pass it back. Let's have a Leyline Binding, but no targets right now.
That's a Bloodstained Mire drawn for McAllister.
All right. Well, let's see if he has the answer to Omnath. He does.
It is a Fury. Okay.
Here's going to pop off, deal 4. Fairy's still in play, though. Could eventually tick up to 3 and bounce and draw another card later. It'll be a little while, though.
Another land off the top from Cowden.
Maybe if he was in the business of fetching earlier, maybe sends his deck a little bit. Back McAllister's way. Gets to untap with the Fury, but we know.
Ragavan. Yeah.
Gonna dash it.
Yeah, give it the old dashy dash.
See where we go.
Or
I think they went both face.
I think they went Fury to Teferi.
Okay. That seems... Yeah, it's fine. All right. Well, Binding takes care of the Fury. Doesn't matter. Ragavan connects, reveals a land. Cowden would have drawn another land, but luckily for him, it does get milled off the top.
Is that the Chandra?
The
The front of McAllister's hand?
If it was, I feel like it should have been played an hour ago.
Yeah. Well,
It's probably just some reactive thing. There's so many Polgon's commands and various things like that that just are kind of lackluster to play on like an empty board.
I think we got a life total dispute here. Players
No.
are settling it.
Yeah, they're fixing it.
Oh, that-
it
that's
does look
the
like a
Chandra.
Planeswalker. Chandra Torch, yeah. Here it comes. Now, old Chandra rules used to mean you could plus and redirect to a Planeswalker. These days, can't do that, so it's just going to do 2 upstairs. We'll get it fixed in a sec, but that Chandra should be at 5 loyalty. Starts at 4, ticks up to 5.
Okay,
Risen
Risen
Reefs
Reef.
to play.
Generate some more card advantage and block the Ragavan potentially, though I suspect there will be a removal spell for it. Potentially could minus the Chandra on it, but you'd definitely rather be plussing the Chandra towards ultimate and drawing extra cards. Looks like we're starting with the Ragavan dash, so that definitely signals that there's a removal spell here for the Risen Reef. Probably several, and McAllister just deciding which one to use. And ends up going for, Terra Sunder on the Leyline Binding. Gonna bring back that Fury, deal with the Teferi and the Risen Reef all in one go. So
Call that a sheesh.
now Ragavan comes in. Ooh, do I want a Risen Reef? Yeah, it only costs us 1 of the treasures to cast it because the Proving Ground makes green.
Nice.
Sure. Okay, Takanuma comes in, and we'll deal 2 with the Chandra, and this game went back and forth.
I mean, you're seeing the downside of leyline binding, right? Like if it takes something that has an ETB effect, and then it gets to come back, it generates that effect all over again.
Now Ragavan needs to be back in McAllister's hand from dash. Okay, they realize it. And yeah, Cowden at 10 has just drawn so many lands here.
Yeah. Looks like he drew an endurance for the turn, so at least has a blocker. Can eat the Risen Reef for the Ragavan or trade for the Fury. But the real story right now, that Chandra's on 7. That is threatening ultimate next turn, and that thing does a ton of damage when it ultimates. Back here with Fury and Risen Reef. Here comes Endurance. Let's see if McAllister can prevent it from blocking.
Interesting that there was no dash Ragavan this turn. Wonder what else McAllister wants to use all that mana on.
All right, looks like Endurance is going to target self, so Cowden shuffles Graveyard back on the bottom. And we're going to block the Endurance. Going to trade. Risen Reef deals 1. See what the follow-up is for McAllister here.
And it is a Jaya.
Ooh, the new Prowess Jaya is sweet. I haven't actually seen it in play yet, except in Pioneer. If it's good in Modern, that's awesome. Because I think the card's really cool design, but like when you compare it to Chandra Torch of Defiance, it's just so different. And like, I don't know.
I don't think Renin 6 is going to do it here.
Yep, gonna pack it in, Nick Cowden. Just drew too many lands.
Jund taking game 1. You know what would have been relevant there at any point is Yorion.
Yeah, we'll see if he reveals Yorion this game. You know, Yorion.
Yeah.
What's the deck called again? 5-color Yorion.
So players going to their sideboards, which means that's where we will go. Check out what they have. Nick Cowden has a Knight of Autumn, a Tail's End, 3 Dovin's Veto, 2 Aether Gust, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, a Force of Vigor, apparently the Yorion, 1 Obsidian Charmaw, 2 Flusterstorm, and a Chalice of the Void. Not a lot I really like here. I think maybe just the Gusts. Sure. You know, there's a lot of green and red planeswalkers between Grist and the Jaya and the Chandra. Being able to take those off the battlefield, sometimes in response to a fetch, as well as things like Ragavan and Tarmogoyf. But other than that, I don't really like the rest. I don't like counter spells against heavy discard decks. Hallowed Moonlight, this isn't the matchup for it. The disenchants aren't great, so not a lot changing from Nick Cowden's side. But honestly, if I'm Nick, I feel good about this matchup. I know I'm down a game, but I've got every chance to still win this match.
I don't know how many actual lands it was drawn that game because there was a Renin 6 around for a few turns, but something like 13.
It was a lot.
13 and 6, 13 and 7, something like that. It's kind of gross, but normally a deck like Elementals really wants to hit those land drops, but there comes a time where you just need to draw anything else other than a land.
And for Matthew McAllister's side, we see 1 Alpine Moon, 2 Crime Punishment, 2 Endurance, 1 Engineered Explosives, 3 Leyline of the Void, 3 Necromentia, and 3 Turok Dread Cantor. Love the Turoks. Great piece of card advantage in a grindy matchup.
Protection from white, surprisingly good in some spots as well.
Yeah, against things like Solitude and Leyline Binding. But outside of that, I'm not liking anything else.
Okay, well, could use a little help maybe from the Jund side of things, but up a game, and that's always good. So if he can claw out one of the next 2 in the super grinding matchup, or just present some weird threats that are hard to deal with, like those Planeswalkers, maybe he just is able to take it down. Seems like 4-mana Planeswalker is the sweet spot since it makes, various things like Prismatic Ending like pretty difficult to cast to kill it sometimes.
Yeah. One thing I'm noticing as a mulligan is happening on Nick Cowden's side is you do see a Yorion near the top of his playmat.
Oh? Decided to reveal this time?
Hiding behind his life total there, but there is a Yorion. So I think that to me confirms that Nick, a little sloppy, forgetting to declare his companion for game 1. And honestly, that could have changed things.
Oh, absolutely.
He had all the time in the world to cast it.
That could have blinked.
He could have also blinked to Fairy the turn that stayed on the battlefield.
Would have definitely played more of his land so he could activate and play it on the same turn more easily.
And a couple extra cards and a 4/5 flyer could have easily turned that game around.
All right, looks like we're off to the races. Cowden going to lead off with Abundant Growth. Looks like he has Renin 6 and a fetch in hand. So if McAllister doesn't have Thoughtseize, this Renin 6 could be bag breaking on turn 2.
Turn 1 Abundant Growth, aka the Nuts.
Yeah, aka Arkham's Astrolabe. Someone in chat earlier, Thunderwunk, I think, was talking about maybe they should ban Abundant Growth. I don't think it's that good. It's like,
can't.
Their argument that it's very similar to Astrolabe makes sense, but like, should they have even banned Astrolabe? Really?
Yeah. Astrolabe did other things for enabling artifact strategies. Like,
okay.
it's not like Abundant Growth is making Enchantress too good.
All right, well, here comes the Renin 6. There's no target for the minus, but we do have a target for the plus.
So that will undo the mulligan here.
Oh.
And a great start from Cowden. Doesn't have to fear any turn one Rogovan on the other side. Gets to just set up his card advantage.
Has a Tarmogoyf in hand. That one plus a fetch land can be potentially a threat to start coming at.
On Cowden's side, we see a Fury, a Teferi, and 3 lands.
Well, we're going to dash Rogovan on 2. This is a way to play around the minus of the Renin 6, but it doesn't actually gain much traction. I don't love it. It does ramp you a little bit with the treasure token, but if you had a 2-mana spell here that just said deal 2 damage, get a treasure token, I don't think I would play it. I think I would try to play anything else.
Yeah, I wonder if he doesn't have green mana for that Goyf.
I thought I saw a fetch line hanging out, but you could be right. You could
see
be right.
2 Rakdos dual lands. That could be a reason for going for that line, which I agree does not seem particularly good.
No, there's a Foothills in there.
I definitely see a Foothills. I see a Bolt. I think I see one of the red Planeswalkers.
Foothills plus Bolt would have been solid, I think. 1-2 to start, but, it's going to grow before you attack, probably. Just playing a Lightning Bolt means that the Renin 6 is probably going to die. I don't even mind sending the Rogovan at the Renin 6. You don't get the treasure, but you can bolt it down next turn, and maybe that's like worst case scenario or whatever, but...
That Cowden gets to play Teferi on a clean battlefield, decides to pick it up. Could have decided to minus on the treasure. Of course, McAllister can sack in response, deny the card, but maybe if Cowden thinks McAllister is mana light or doesn't have green, that could be a fine play, but instead pluses. Ends up being better because McAllister does have the green source.
Now, looks like we do have Chandra Torch in hand, so could fetch and play that off the treasure. And neither Planeswalker from Cowden can deal with it right now. Perhaps that Fury can, though. Fury plus minus on the Renin 6, but not enough mana to hard cast, and not a red card in hand to pitch yet, I don't think.
And it's got 2 pitch elementals, but no other cards of matching color to evoke them.
Nope. Could minus on the Abundant Growth to draw a card and then replay it to look for a red card. Instead, McAllister is just going to go for Seasoned Pyromancer. Going to pitch some stuff.
Yeah, a very good threat against Teferi.
This card's Fatal Push and Rogovan, making 2 elementals. This is going to be tough for Cowden to clean up, but it's not very threatening. Not extremely threatening.
Yeah. Draws another Teferi, so can evoke the Solitude now, but that's not the one you want to evoke, staring down exactly 4 toughness across 3 bodies.
Yeah. So I like the start. I would start by bouncing Abundant Growth. You just want to see if you can draw a red card, I think. If you draw the red card, it's a very easy turn. Fury cleans it up nicely.
Yeah, I like that line.
It depends on what you want to do with your Renin 6, I guess. You have a ton of lands in hand, so it might not be that valuable. And maybe you just want to, I don't know, bounce a token and soak a two-point attack from the Seasoned Pyromancer. You definitely don't want to bounce Seasoned Pyromancer. Emrakul to draw.
That is not a red card. It's not an any color card. But it could be a game-winning card.
You're into hand. Land for turn. And we're going to pass.
Seasoned Pyromancer equipped here to deal with the Teferi, but there's a replacement Teferi in Cowden's hand.
Pyromancer going to come at Teferi. Takes it down.
Cowden down to 14 here between the dashed Rogovan and some fetching and shocking. A little lower than you might expect, given that he hasn't really been under a ton of pressure from McAllister's combat steps.
Yeah, and Life Total does play an important role in closing the game because the Elementals deck is so good at grinding, and sometimes the only way you can win is just bolt, bolt, bolt.
Be aggressive.
Yeah. I think we're just getting Life Total confirmations here.
Yeah, there's a Wooded Foothills activation on the stack, so it's going to bring McAllister to what looks like 16 to us, potentially lower with a shock.
All right. Just some bookkeeping. And here we go. We're going to fetch Feels like a turn for Chandra, Torch of Defiance. What does that do to the battlefield? What does that do for Cowden? How does he fight back against it?
Well, Fury is definitely step one. You could get it low and then have a creature to pressure it. You could combine the Fury trigger with Ren to finish it off. So not super threatening given what's in Cowden's hand.
All right, here it comes. So we're going to plus probably to deal some damage. Can't play the Boseiju. Cowden down to 12. We're going to head back his way. Down to 11 from the fetch.
Got to expect this is a Triome that produces red. Rogrin it is.
Okay. Now, to note, Cowden did draw Emrakul, the Promised End, last turn, but is still very far away from playing it. But in a few turns, might have a graveyard big enough to do exactly that. And I'll tell you what, Emrakul versus Planeswalkers that are about the ultimate can sometimes just steal games you have no business winning. Hardcast Fury.
Yeah, here we do see Ren and Fury get some teamwork going, take down that Chandra.
That's how you make the dream work, Ross. In a turn, Bolt on the Fury. We're going to untap. Seasoned Pyromancer can knock Ren down to 1. A Ren of zone. Can let McAllister take down the opposing Ren. And then we're at somewhat of a parity.
Now, with the treasure, using the treasure to play that Bolt is strange because you can always do that on your turn.
Yeah.
And once the treasure's gone, it doesn't come back. So you might as well draw your card and see if things change.
Yeah, you might not want to burn it.
Yeah, maybe you have a different line that saves the treasure.
Yeah.
And here it looks like, there's a land that's going to end up left over this turn potentially. So we'll see if that treasure could have, opened up some lines later in this game.
All right. First discard. These are random. Korok doing his him.
It's two spells. That's pretty
Ren
good.
And Solitude. Brutal. And a major misstep from McAllister. No attack from the Seasoned Pyromancer. That Ren and 6 should be 2 loyalty lighter.
Not sure it's going to be that relevant since the Turok can finish it off next turn. I don't think there's anything Cowden can do about that. But Abundant
2 damage
Growth...
to face miss then.
Yeah. Abundant Growth, a very good draw here because this looks to be the Yorion turn.
One very cool thing about Yorion and Pioneer that you see a lot is an activation of the Wandering Emperor and then a Yorion Blink, and then during the end step after it comes back, you get to activate it again.
Oh, yeah.
Can't quite do that with a Ren and 6 to take down a 2/2, but still cool nonetheless.
That's just going to bring Cowden to 10 here. The Yorion cannot check this Turok. He's going to have to find an answer to this.
Yeah, life total getting seriously low from Cowden, and the Yorion here is just going to blink the 2 Abundant Growths and draw 2 cards during the end steps. So, Solitude, though, from hand and maybe a white card drawn or just discard this Teferi can allow him to protect from the Seasoned Pyromancer attacking should the Yorion get knocked out. But another land and an Endurance.
Yeah, Endurance can trade with the Turok so long as no more cards are discarded. If there's a Thoughtseize, that would get another trigger on the Turok, grow it out of Endurance range.
If I'm not mistaken, Cowden should be at 10. I think he fetched with a Windswept Heath this turn to go to 10.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well. Okay. And...
all right. So Torok comes in. Hits Nick for some damage, and Tarmogoyf's to play.
I think there's also a Ragavan in hand for McAllister.
Yeah.
So a lot of pressure. An Ephemerate.
We'll get Life Totals update here in a second. We had a match complete, and our spotter had to move out of the way for them to move. So the Fairy comes down here for Cowden. Gonna bounce Tarmogoyf and draw a card. That Endurance can block, as long as McAllister doesn't have a removal spell for it.
Well, Teferi will ensure that that's not going to happen. So yeah, I think once this Endurance trades, I feel pretty good from Cowden's seat.
All right,
so
Life Totals updated. Yeah, he took a 4-point hit. I think he should be at 6, but I could be wrong. the players here have control over the life totals.
Yeah.
So
McAllister going for the throat the last turn instead of attacking the Ren might end up just a little bit short.
and it looks like we're gonna trade. No answer for McAllister. We're gonna shuffle some cards to the bottom. And Endurance is gonna trade unless there's any reaction. There's not.
I don't mind the aggressive line for McAllister here. I think you're falling behind on card advantage against the Orion. You got to try to get the game over with. Just gonna fall short. It looks like here though. There is a bolt in hand. Yeah, Cowden cracking this fetch, going to 6.
Double bolts.
Yeah,
Jeej.
another bolt could steal this game and match for Matthew McAllister. And if I'm Nick Cowden, you really want the Omnath. That life gain will keep you safe. It'll generate more card advantage, let you deploy a lot of these threats in your hand with the extra mana. It'll basically do everything.
Yeah. I'm going to go up here 3-4.
Looks like a Risen Reef off the top, which will go well with this Ephemerate.
Pretty good. Well, you know what else goes good with Ephemerate? Orion.
Yeah.
All right. Finds a Misty Rainforest. Going to put that on the battlefield tapped. Fairy ticks up.
Not be surprised to see a fetch land get played and then a Abundant Growth on a fetch. That puts it on the Breeding Pool.
All right. Well, this feels like a good attack from Cowden's side. I would like the Risen Reef to be in play to chump block should it be necessary. So an attack for 4 is also a big deal because McAllister's life total is dwindling as well. But you can use the Ephemerate to punk a removal spell too, though. So. All right, here comes Bolt targeting Risen Reef. Interesting. We do have to main phase this because of the Teferi, so can't be tricky. Trying to do the Bolt plus the Liliana play. Now, Cowden just going to let it resolve. Interesting. And Liliana.
Oh no, the Ephemerate doesn't save us from that.
It doesn't. This is bad news, but the Bolt's gone. This is also not currently a lethal attack. But it is a lot
Max
of damage.
punished for not protecting.
Does he have the Ragavan? He can threaten lethal with the Ragavan dash. Armorgoyf going to grow a little bit. Well, there's 6 points. Cowden has Lightning Bolt in hand to take care of
one threat, but I think McAllister's going to steal this game. Nick Cowden not playing around Liliana.
Could have also still just cast Ephemerate on the Yorion to blink out a bunch of Abundant Growths in case he didn't die this turn. Maybe needs all of his mana to hard cast Solitude or something. But his hand looks like it's just Bolt and nothing.
It's Bolt, Ephemerate, Emrakul, and Lance.
No shot. No shot this just works. That's sick.
Nick Cowden did not play around Liliana. The boomerist of Jund cards.
Wow, nicely done from McAllister. Takes it down 2-0. A tough matchup. One where he was prepared to grind, had a ton of Planeswalkers, and it looks like Nick Cowden is going to be scraping the last 2 rounds of the Swiss to try to find another dub so he can punch his ticket to top 8. But for our Jund player, that's a 5-0. That's a double draw time.
Yeah, definitely. And, there was certainly a misstep from Cowden at the end there, but credit to McAllister for realizing that second game especially, he needed to be the aggressor, get that game over with. Doesn't waste time attacking down the Ren, with the Turok on the one attack he got, is pushing damage there at the end and takes advantage of his opponent's mistake.